Are you preparing for any healthcare assistant interview, be it NHS or care home? Now, all these interview questions I listed here are the commonly asked one. If you don't know where to start from here. Now, I'm gonna list all the questions out. In case you are quicker than me, you can copy them, go find the answer, and get ready. Read it in line with your job description and person specification document. Now, what are the questions? 1, tell us about yourself. You are likely not to skip this question. 2, why do you want to work with us? You are likely not to skip it. 3, what do you understand by safeguarding? Now, safeguarding question can be asked in so many forms. You could be asked, can you describe your understanding about safeguarding? Why do you think safeguarding is very important in a care setting? How do you ensure the vulnerable adults or individual in your care facility are protected from abuse or neglect? You could be asked, can you provide an example of how you have implemented safeguarding policies and procedures in your work? What would you do if you suspect that a resident was being abused or neglected? How do you promote safeguarding within your team? Tell us some signs of abuse you may look out for as a carer. Remember, as a carer, you should know the indicators of abuse. So they might ask you to tell them some signs to look out for. That is indicators of what? Abuse. How do you ensure that the resident feels safe and supported in your care? As a carer, how do you ensure that those residents you care for are safe? You make them feel safe. Think. I'm coming with the answer. What aspect of safeguarding is most important to you and why? This question, what aspect? We are coming to that. Now, the last one I have here, can you give example of how you advocate for the vulnerable residents in your care? Remember the 6 C's. We have courage in the 6 C's. How do you advocate? Before you advocate, remember you need to be courageous. We are coming to that. Okay, the next one, I'm out of safeguarding now. The next one, how do you handle stressful situation or high pressure environment? This question could be asked in different ways. You could be asked, how do you handle stress at work? How do you manage your time at work? Tell us how you prioritize your task. All these things are seeking to find out when everywhere is so busy. Hey, resident A want this, resident B want this, resident C want this. How do you cope? What do you do? You come to work in the morning, this resident is like this in bed, this one is crying for this one. It's pressure. In the morning, how do you start? They want to know. Tell them, prioritizing your task. Answer is already there. The next one, tell us your experience working with a resident living with dementia. Now, this is my field. What is your experience like working with residents living with dementia? Have you got your mom or your dad or your granny who have got dementia? You cared for them. What was your experience? Okay. How do you ensure that residents' privacy and confidentiality? How do you ensure resident privacy and confidentiality? Remember, dignity. Okay, the next one says, how do you promote residents' dignity? Okay, I have here, tell us ways a resident dignity and respect can be protected. This is all seeking about, ensuring confidentiality and privacy. So they could ask you in any form. Now, the next one I have here, which is number 8, tell us about a time you went above and beyond for a resident. Tell us about a time you went out of your way to do something extraordinary for a resident. It is still the same. You can also be asked, tell us about a time you went out of your way to help a resident. Okay, now number 9 I have here. How do you handle a difficult colleague at work? You come to work in the morning, your colleague is not doing the job, they are sitting down. What do you do? You know, it could be painted as a scenario for you. They could also ask you direct, you know, as a direct question. How do you handle a difficult colleague at work? How do you manage a disagreement between your colleagues? The next one I have, can you tell us or give us an example of how you have demonstrated empathy and compassion in your previous role? Remember the 6 C's. The 6 C's, in fact, you cannot answer interview questions correctly without including 6 C's inside. You might not have to start saying compassion, competency, communication, no. But when you are answering the questions, it is inside what you are saying. Okay? I will also have to teach us 6 C's in care. The next one I have here, can you tell us about your long-term goal within the healthcare industry? A lot of people do not know how to answer this question. Your long-term goal. What is your long-term goal? For me, my long-term goal is that at some point in life, I will have to own my care facility. I need to own a residential care facility where I will have to care for elderly people whom their children are not able to care for them, maybe because of the distance where they are. They have gone out to hustle for their daily living. They cannot just be stuck at home to care for their elderly ones, their mom or their dad. So I have this goal to open a residential facility that these people will entrust their mom, their dad in my care, and where I will have to employ qualified healthcare assistants, well-trained, earning good money to care for these people. So when you look at your salary and you know that if you do 1 or 2 things, if you abuse these residents, you are gonna get sacked. You will have to behave, but it is not gonna be all about the money. It's gonna be someone that have passion for it. So what is your long-term goal? I just answered this one straight away. Now, the next thing, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are your strengths and weaknesses? This question, they usually pay. You could also be asked, what skills do you have? What skills are you bringing to our team? Okay, you could be asked, how do you contribute to your team? Some people find this question tricky or whatever. How do you contribute to what is team? Team is not working together. You are like 3 in the unit. You are working as a team. You are helping each other. You are promoting each other, encouraging each other, appreciating each other. That is how you work as a team. That is what you contribute. Bringing out your own opinion, settling disputes amicably to arrive at the same page. So, what is duty of care? What do you understand by duty of candor? These ones are all I have on this paper. I also remember they ask scenario-based questions where they will say, you come to work in the morning, the resident is crying, they want to go home, what do you do? Scenario-based questions, challenging behavior. You could be asked, in a hospital setting, you've got a patient who vomited on the floor, and you have a patient family member asking you for some information or file about their family member who is your patient. Who do you attend to first? Now, they want to see how you prioritize your task and how you ensure safety. Remember, in everything, safety first. So in this case, the person that had vomited on the floor should be attended to first. You need to, support the person, get them some bowl. There's a bowl, sick bowl they use to vomit inside, and you have to call the domestic to take care of what is on the floor. Then you can also ask this question, also seek to find if you know when to seek for help. Yeah, so we get started. We have to start providing answers to this right away, because a lot of people are waiting for the answer. Okay, if there's any of them or anything I did not say you want me to answer, put it under this video, under the comment section, and we'll get it from there. Tell us about yourself. NHS or healthcare assistant interview question. For you to answer this question, you have to be very brief. It is not time for you to tell them why you are fit for this job or why they should hire you or why you want to work with them. No, they just need you to introduce yourself. So you have to be very brief. Introduce yourself, your educational qualification, your background, your skills, what you are doing in relation to the job, your current job role that is related to that position you are seeking for. Now, for me to answer this question, tell us about yourself. My name is Juliana. I'm a graduate of Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I studied biology. I've acquired NVQ level 3 in adult health and social care. Currently, I work in a residential facility where I care for residents living with dementia. I support them with their day-to-day activities, emotionally, mentally, support them with hospital, taking them for hospital appointment. I've got a very good skills like communication skill, problem solving skills, ability to work as a team, which have helped me in my current role to be able to care and manage for my residents. Full stop. Don't say anything else. With this, you have been able to tell them your name, your qualifications, your background relating to this job you are seeking for. You have succeeded in telling them your current job role, what you are doing currently before coming for the interview. You have succeeded in telling them the skills, briefly, the skills you have got in that job. So that is it. We move to the next question. Why do you want to work with us? Why do you want to work with us? For you to answer this question, you must have to put yourself in the interviewer's shoe. For example, you own a company. Somebody wants to come and work in your company. Listen, because this illustration will help you to understand how best to answer this question. That person that is coming to work in your company, a company you suffered to build, somebody is coming there to work with you. During interview, I think you should be looking out to hear from the person why they want to work with you, what they know about your company. You are expecting that they must have read about your company on your website. Now you are expecting to see the experience they have got in relation to what you are doing in your company. You are also expecting to see how passionate they are, their passion for what the services you give out to people. You are also looking to, if possible, to see that person long-term goal. Now, the long-term goal is where I used to capitalize while answering this question. Now, the person, you that owns the company, is expecting to see the value, how the value of your company, your goal, the goals and the value of your company, how it aligns with that person's own. Okay, so if you understand what I'm explaining now, you should be able to get what to say. Now, for us to answer this question, why do you want to work with us? I want to work with you because I made a research while applying for this job, and I found out on the company website that you have a goal that aligns with my own. You have a value that aligns with what I love to do. Like I said, my long time goal, I love to own my care facility sometime in the future in my country. So working with you will give me the opportunity to learn how to manage elderly people living with dementia or elderly people who do not have who to care for them back home. I love to own a residential facility where I will care for these people, where people will entrust their elderly ones in my care and they feel safe. I love to work with you because currently I am working in a facility where I support elderly people, the vulnerable ones living with dementia, or some of them don't live, but they are elderly, they need support with their day-to-day activities. My experiences, how I communicate with them, how I relate with them, how I manage their challenging behaviors whenever it comes up, I am coming to bring it in your care home, because I saw on the website and on the job description as well that this is part of my job role. So it is not entirely something new that I'm coming to do. But also working with you will strengthen my knowledge and my experience in this field. My goals and my values aligns with that of your company. Your empathy, I saw it on the website. As you're saying it, you're smiling. Empathy, person-centered care, inclusion, equality. This aspect interests me the most because I am the type of person that love to include everybody in what I'm doing. I love equality. I don't like to discriminate whatever background you come from. So seeing it as part of your value gives me the fulfillment that I will not be discriminated in your care home. I will be treated equally. And also it gives me the fulfillment that the residents in your care are well protected because everybody is treated equally. Person-centered care. To be honest, I've had experience places where some carers do not care about the resident. They are just after change pad and sit down. I have also experienced where carers do everything together with the residents, give them shower, eat with them, chat with them, play with them, do activities together. This is the part I love so much. And seeing it as part of your value, I know that these residents are well taken care of. They are well included in everything. They are being supported the best or how they want to be supported. This is what I love, and this is why I want to work with you. Please, for you to answer why do you want to work with us, I would highly advise you to read about the company. Check what the company goals are, their values. Does it align with yours? I don't know if you understand what I mean by aligning. I am this type of person that is very, very passionate about care. And being someone that is passionate about care, I don't like to see where the opposite practice is being done, like wrong practices. No, I don't like to see it. I love to see things being done the way it should be. So if I see a care home that says, we include everybody, we treat everybody the same, we make sure that both the carers and the staff are being treated the same, if I see such place, that is where I'm going. Because it will help me to know that if for any reason I get into trouble tomorrow or something goes wrong, the company is empathetic, the staff are empathetic, they will put themselves in my shoe to be able to support me properly. I hope with this explanation, you are able to understand what the interviewer is seeking to get from you when they ask you this question, and you are able to know the answer to give to them. I like to use my long-term goal to answer this question. Also, the company values. Okay, now we move to the next one. What is the next one? What is your understanding about safeguarding? So let's go to safeguard. Safeguarding is very broad. In 1 week, I'm not sure we are done with everything concerning safeguarding, but let's see. We started already. Safeguarding. What do you understand by safeguarding? Safeguarding is all about protecting the residents from all sort of abuse, harm, and neglect. Safeguarding is all about promoting and protecting the rights and dignity of an individual. Safeguarding is all about promoting and empowering an individual to understand their rights and be able to stand up against any form of abuse. So, safeguarding, I come again, is protecting the residents. In fact, everybody, from anything that will cause them pain, anything that will cause them harm, injury, from all form of neglect, protecting them from all of this. So that is what safeguarding is all about. Now, when you talk about protecting the resident from all sort of abuse, from all form of harm, from all form of neglect, in the care setting, there are a lot of abuse going on that could happen. Let me not say going on, that happens in the care home. There are a lot of neglect that could happen in the care home. Now, I will brief it because abuse, neglect, and all that, they are topics on their own. It is not something I can exhaust in this video. So when you talk about abuse, there are different types of abuse. We have, I even listed some out here. When I was doing one of my training, some of them will have physical abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, discrimination, organizational abuse or institutional abuse, neglect, and omission. Now, all these things are, the risk that safeguard adults can be at. Adults in a care home is at risk of all this. Even force feeding is an abuse. A situation where you want a resident to eat by fire by force, you are offering food. They said, no, I don't want it. Oh, I don't want it. You are taking the food to put in their mouth. To you are helping them. They need to eat so they don't give up. But it is an abuse. You don't force them. Force feeding is an abuse. If you are doing it, stop. You don't have to. If they say no, document. Keep on offering whatever thing you have. Give them options. If they are still refusing, let them go. Yeah. So, somebody in a residential facility is at risk of abuse. Even people at homes, they're at risk of abuse. Once you are vulnerable, you are at risk of abuse. You are at risk of anything. Okay? So, of all these type of abuse, they say that the most common form of abuse is physical abuse, neglect, and omission, and I agree with that. You know why? Because in the care homes, residents are being abused physically. The way you rough handle them, you want to you take off their blanket because they're refusing to come out of the bed. You'll be like, oh, you've been sleeping, you are under this blanket. For you forcefully take off the blanket when they are not ready to come out. It is an abuse. You open their windows and their curtains because you feel, because the room is dark, that's why they want to stay there and sleep. You don't open the whole windows and curtains and they are shouting, leave me alone. You want them to get out of the bed by force. It is an abuse. So, abuse can be physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, discrimination, neglect, and omission. Institutional abuse. I don't want to talk about this. All these things are forms of abuse. When you talk about emotional abuse, this is where you yell at the residents, you shout at them, you call them names. This reduces their self-esteem. The remaining self-esteem they have is gone because you keep on comparing them with other residents. Oh, you cannot even go to the toilet. You wee on your body. Shameless man. If other residents can go to the toilet, why can't you use the toilet? Why are you taking off your pad? You stupid man. When you do those things, that is emotional abuse. I know sometimes they could be so annoying and challenging that you will lose it, but please do not. Remember, those names you are calling them, they have nothing to lose. You have your job to lose. That is their home. Emotional abuse, calling them names. We have physical abuse, where you spank their bum, you rough handle them, you hit them, you push them, you bite them. There was a time the story came that a staff bite a resident. I don't know what could lead to that, but it happens. Also remember, residents can as well abuse their fellow residents. Remember, you find residents who are challenging they are so agitated, they start hitting other residents. So when you hear physical abuse, it is not a must that it is the staff that abuse them. Their fellow residents, even their family member, can abuse them as well. You talk about financial abuse. This is where their money get lost. You steal their money, or even their fellow residents steal their money. Some of them are at the risk of financial abuse because they cannot remember how much they have. Those that still have access to their credit card, they say they want to go for shopping. You take them for shopping. As they are picking things, you are picking for yourself. And in the end, you use their credit card or their debit card to pay for what you picked for yourself. That is financial abuse. You take their gold, their jewelries, their diamond, you steal it from them. That is financial abuse. Now we talk about neglect. Neglect is a situation whereby you leave the person unattended. For example, this person needs to eat. You did not offer anything to them. Or maybe you offered once and you be like, oh, that I gave him cornflakes since he doesn't want to eat. Leave him, let him stay there. And you leave them. Remember, the last training I did, they said when these residents are getting old, at some point, they no longer remember that they are hungry or that they are thirsty. So if you don't offer to them and remind them, some of them, you will give them food. They are looking at it. They don't know what it is. You have to call them. Food, eat. That is when they will start eating. To tell you that the brain can no longer recollect. So you have to support them. But when you don't do this thing, it is neglect. Safeguarding. Omission. You keep on omitting, you're supposed to do this, you omit the person. They said neglect and omission are the most commonly with physical. These three are the most commonly type of abuse that happens in the care home. Institutional abuse. Do you know that when you are short-staffed, we are coming back to that later. When you are not given the necessary training you require and all that, we're coming to that one later. So I just want to run through it, brief of what abuse is all about and safeguarding. And yeah, we go to the next one. I said safeguarding question can be asked in so many ways. You could be asked to describe your understanding about safeguarding. So if the question come in this form, I've just done justice to that. Tell them what safeguarding is. By the time you are mentioning safeguarding, the three terms abuse, harm, and neglect will come in. So you just have to run through it. We have different types of abuse and all that. Now you could be asked, why do you think safeguarding is very important in a care setting? That is another way you could be asked questions relating to safeguarding. So why do you think that safeguarding is very important in care setting? Importance of safeguarding in care. Next question. Why do you think safeguarding is important in care setting, in the care facility? Why do you think it's important? Having known the meaning of safeguarding, which is protecting the resident from all forms of abuse, harm, and neglect, now why do you think it's important? Safeguarding is important in the care home because it helps to protect the resident from any form of abuse. It helps to protect the right of the resident. It helps to keep the resident safe in the care home. Safeguarding helps to protect the patient's rights. When I mean the patient right to privacy, dignity, seeking consent. Before you do anything for them, you seek their consent. Right to confidentiality. Safeguarding help to protect their rights. When you talk of right, they have right to dignity and privacy, respect, confidentiality. You cannot share their information with somebody who shouldn't have the information. So safeguarding help to protect all these rights. Whenever you violate any of these rights, safeguarding concerns, issues will be raised against you and you'll be prosecuted for it. They will charge you for it. if you give out information to a wrong person that shouldn't have it, the family member or the care home can charge you for it. They can call you in for disciplinary action and you might lose your job. Resident rights. The next one I have here is preventing the resident or protecting the resident from abuse of any kind, abuse, neglect, and harm. What do I mean by that? When we talk about abuse, we talk about financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, institutional abuse, because institutional abuse is not just about the staff. When you are short-staffed, the residents are affected as well. All forms of abuse you can think of. Safeguarding, protect them from it. Because if you are a staff and you see signs of abuse, you have to speak up, and preventive measures will be put in place to make sure that that resident is protected. So safeguarding is important because it will help to protect the resident from all forms of abuse. It is important because it will help to protect the resident right. It is important because it will help to ensure that the residents are receiving the proper care they need, the right care they need. What do I mean by that? If a resident should have breakfast, they should have lunch, they should have dinner. If you did not offer them their meals, you are going against safeguard. You are no longer protecting them. You are now starving them, and that is neglect. That is abuse. So safeguarding, to make sure you are in line with safeguarding policies and everything, you have to offer them breakfast, lunch, snacks, fluid, dinner, everything, and you have to record it. So safeguarding helps to ensure that the residents are getting proper care they need. When you talk about proper care, it involves offering them, emotional support, offering them their meals, offering them whatever, anything you call care. You have to. So safeguarding is important because it helps to ensure that the residents receive the right care they need. Do you also know that safeguarding helps to build trust? Yes. For example, you have your elderly person you put in the care home, and you know that safeguarding is in place. There are measures put in place to make sure that your mom or your dad is safe, is protected. There is this trust you will have on the care home and the staff to know that, they must safeguard my mom or my dad, because they understand that if you don't do that, they will charge you for it. So safeguarding helps to build trust. I can say that again. Will you know that your mom or your dad is properly protected? You have nothing to worry about. You trust them. Even safeguarding will give you the mindset that no, they can't do anything wrong, because if they do anything wrong, it is a law. They violated it. They go in for it. They pay for it. Okay, so why do you think safeguarding is important? Safeguarding is important in care homes, or safeguarding have or must be in the care home, because number one, it helps to protect the resident right. Number two, it helps to protect them from all sorts of abuse, harm, and neglect. Number three, it helps to ensure that the residents are receiving high quality standard care. Number four, it is important because it helps to build trust. From all I have explained, I've given examples of what I mean by each of these. When you talk about building trust, knowing that your mom or your dad who is in the care home, that they have measures put in place to make sure that they are protected, they are safeguarded, you have that trust. You will not be sleeping and all of a sudden you would jump up from the bed to be like, oh, have my mom be changed? Have my mom be giving food? Have they done anything? Are you sure my mom is not isolated? Are you sure? No. Safeguarding is in place to do that. And the staff, whoever that is caring for them, must follow that. When you talk about ensuring the quality care, that they are receiving quality and high standard of care, that food are being given to them, their nutrition is well taken care of, their oral hygiene is well taken care of, anything you call care that you have to offer them. Safeguarding is important, knowing that it protects their right. You will know that your mom's information is kept confident. You know that everything concerning your mom, the privacy is not violated, the dignity is not violated, everything is well taken care of. This is why safeguarding is important. So you could be asked, anything I'm saying here are potential interview questions, and I'm explaining it in a way that you understand what the question is seeking for, what the question is seeking to find. It's not enough to just know what the answer is. No, it is enough when you understand what that question is seeking to find. And that will help you. Even when you get the job, you will not be saying, oh, I don't know the policy, I don't know what I should not do or what I should do. Understand it. When you get to the field, it will be a little bit easier for you. We move to the next question. The next question I have here is, how do you ensure the vulnerable individual or adults in your care are protected? How do you ensure that the adult in your care home is being protected from abuse, neglect? What measures do you put in place? That is what is asking. So that is the next question.